Hello everyone, and my name is Mubarak Showole. I'm 22 years of age, Nigerian by passport, Muslim by religion, and human by race. You all might ask why I explicitly describe myself like that, but that is connected to the end of the presentation, so please pay close attention. How many of you all knows what a polyglot means? So just a few raise of hands. So I'm going to clarify that out of the way. So polyglot, polyglotism. I'm going to clarify that out of the way. A polyglot is someone who speaks more than a lot of languages, who speaks more than 4 to 5 languages. So that's a polyglot. Sorry guys, still having issues with the mic. So, someone who speaks more than 4 to 5 languages. And I personally speak more than 7. Thank you very much. But before I continue, I would like to ask, most of us are bilingual, so due to the era of technology and due to how the world has become much more connected, we need more than one language to survive. So that's usually our mother tongue and a complementary language, probably English. So here in Malaysia, there are 3 races, so Malays, Indian, and Chinese. So it's probably Malay, Indian, and Chinese, and then English. So we're mostly bilingual. But I'd like to see a raise of hands. How many English speakers do we have in the house today? It's probably obvious, but the raise of hands is good for the camera. So yes, English speakers, Malay speakers, Mandarin speakers, Arabic speakers, you see, and as I go on and on, Swahili speakers, French speakers, Somali speakers, as I go on and on, you see that I raise my hands usually. But for Chinese, of course, I didn't raise my hands so high because I only speak a little bit of Mandarin, started learning. And as you speak these languages, once you start speaking much more than 3 languages, the languages are usually connected. You find the connection. So, but of course, except Mandarin, because yes, it's the hardest language for a reason. So, and what I mean by it, so you don't see a connection between 你叫什么名字？我的名字是 Mubarak. Or 你从哪里来？我从 Nigeria 来 or something like that. You don't find a connection, that connection with other languages. For example, nama, तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? Or nama saya Mubarak, or my name is. So we have nama. Or dunya in Arabic, dunya. So which means wall. So you find those connections, and it makes it easier to learn. But that doesn't mean it's very easy. It just makes it easier to learn. So anyways, my discovery to polyglotism, the discovery, or as I call it, the discovery of my superpower, because I find polyglotism as a superpower. It started 12 years ago when I finished. I was already bilingual by the time I was 6, because I'm Yoruba by culture, and we spoke English. English is our national language in Nigeria. So, but when I finished my primary school, my father immediately, a week after that, my father said, I'm going to the north of Nigeria to continue my secondary school. My mother was very confused, like, why are you just going to throw my son all the way, far away from us, just to continue his secondary school? But of course, my father had his own agendas. He wanted us to be a man. So, yes. So that happened, and within 3 months, I could already speak the language almost like a native. So, and that is what you call a hyper polyglot. So for example, in Malaysia, within 3 months, I could already speak Malay. So saya boleh cakap bahasa Melayu macam orang Melayu, orang Bangka. and for the Arabic يعني لمدة شهرين ونص جلست في اليمن وتعلمت العربية مثل العرب. فهمتوا؟ And I became a hyper polyglot. So I learned Arabic in Yemen. There was a school trip, and my father, thanks to my father, he paid for the trip, and which was to learn Arabic in Yemen. So, and within 2 months and a half, I learned Arabic, and came back to Malaysia, where I continued my high school. Went for Arabic debate competitions, won as semi-finalist, and top 5 best speaker. Thank you very much. By my 4th month in Malaysia, I could already speak Bahasa Malay, and I started to pick up some Mandarin, met more people, picked up Swahili, picked up Somali, picked up French, because I met someone special. Yeah. But because most people know me, I'm a very jovial person. I try to speak to you in your language because that's just what I do. And the question that most people ask me is, how do you speak these many languages? So which brings me to the next slide. The fundamentals of learning any language. There are four main points I'd like to address, or 4 main keys I think you need to understand in order for your journey to learning languages to be easier. So number 1, you have to be humble. So humbleness and humility. You have to be humble enough to realize, to accept that you're in a different country, things are done differently, different culture, different mindsets, and you're willing to learn the way they do things. That is number 1. You have to be humble enough to realize that you're in a different place, number 1. Number 2, inquisitiveness. You have to always keep asking questions. Like, you don't just expect to know the meaning of library in Malay if you don't ask, or so perpustakaan or memperkenalkan. You just have to keep asking questions, no matter how stupid you might think your question is, but you have to keep asking because you don't know, and the cure to ignorance is asking. Number 3, remain fearless. Remain fearless, because this is the most, this is what I find the most difficult for people to let go. They fear of making mistakes, they fear of being laughed at, they fear of being insulted. But you have to just let yourself go and be fearless. Yes, people might laugh when you ask them, or when you say some things, right? So, for example, apple in Arabic means tufaha, but you don't pronounce it right. You call it tufa'a. You don't even pronounce the ha correctly, and people might laugh, or people might laugh when you don't pronounce some Malay words right. So, but just let go. Just keep learning. Just accept it, embrace it, and be better. Because at the end of the day, they're going to laugh. You're going to learn their language. They're going to only speak their language, and at the end of the day, you'll be speaking their language with them. The next one is practice. You have to keep practicing, of course. Practice makes perfect, as we know, but it might not come easy for some people like it does for me, but the effort is what matters. You have to keep practicing. So for me, the way I usually practice is that I put myself in situations in my head. I just put myself in situations when I'm idle and try to get out of those situations in different languages in my head. Yes. And the 4th is repeat. So when you go to a new place, you become humble, you stay inquisitive, you remain fearless, you keep practicing, and that goes on and on and on. But learning languages and speaking all the languages in the world is almost pointless, because the most important language you can speak, or that I speak, is your character. The most important language you can speak to anyone is your character. Your ability to see people not for their race, not for their skin tone, not for their color, not for their gender, but just to connect to people based on a personal level, based on their personality. That is what I call the human language. So your character is the most important language you can speak to people. Having a great character, meeting people. So let me give you a sneak peek on how I usually introduce myself when I meet people without speaking a word. Which means, nama saya Mubarak dan saya nice guy. My name is Mubarak and I'm a nice guy. Those three things, so the first smile, the second smile, and the grin, breaks all lingual barrier between, all communication and lingual barrier between myself and the person I'm trying to establish a genuine relationship with or genuine communication with. So, here are my ex-housemates, Chama, Delton, myself, and Joseph. This is a story about Joseph. Joseph used to be my housemate, and we fought twice. Now, as I told you guys, I'm a guy who's very jovial. I try to make everybody laugh. I try to make everybody happy. I try to, I'm very apologetic when I do something wrong. But Joseph, both times that we fought, Joseph won the fight. How did he win? He apologized first both times. That is the character I will remember Joseph for the rest of my life. Not how fluent his English was, not how fluent your Malay is, not how fluent your Arabic is, but how much of a good character you portrayed. How much love and care and how much personality you've shown over my time with you, my time of being with you. That is what I'll remember for the rest of my life. And that is what I call the human language. Because once you're able to portray a good character, you have spoken every single language in this world. Because we are, as I said, I'm Nigerian by passport, Muslim by religion, but human by race. We are human by race, and we all have feelings, we all have emotions, and that is really what we should talk to. So which leads me to end this with a picture. Yes, as we all know, speaks 1,000 words. And yeah, technical error. A picture speaks 1,000 words, as we all know. But remember, guys, you are all artists. You are an artist. And your character is a picture that you paint. Your characters are the pictures you paint. So please, paint great pictures. Thank you very much.